Yes, you've started the recording. Over to you, Ravi sir.
Okay, so I think good afternoon, everyone. This is the first time that we are hosting this event, online event on a Saturday. Usually we were hosting on Friday. There was a lot of demand that, Saturday is a better day because there is more availability of people and more people can join, and we can see the difference also here. More people have joined as compared to Friday. So I will continue to have it on Saturday, I think, because of that reason. So welcome to the fourth episode of SCM Talk Show Season 5. We already finished Season 4. We had about 8 talk show in each season. So till now, we have finished almost about 37 episodes. The last episode was on sustainability, circularity, and climate in retail. It was a very interesting session that we had. I think it gave us a lot of insight that a lot of focus is there on sustainability in the retail segment in India. The title of this episode is Talent, Leadership and Transformation. So I think it's going to be a very exciting session for you in terms of how you can shape your career. As we know that some of these soft skills, if I may say, or traits that we say are very, very important for your career. So we'll talk about that. So this topic has been again chosen a normal type experience of the speaker. So I think as usual, this session is being recorded and it will be made available for free on KnoWerX mobile app as well as YouTube channel. And like our normal practice that we follow, we put everyone on the listen only mode. And you can submit your questions in the chat box. As the questions come up in your mind, you can keep submitting the questions. We will take the questions at the end of the session, towards the end, depending on the availability of time. We'll take number of questions. So let me start. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Vijay Nair, veteran. Colonel Nair is the Managing Director of Oraculi Dux Private Limited, involved in activities such as warehousing and support activities for transportation. So with 37 years of experience in supply chain management, logistics and operations, Colonel Nair is the founder of Oraculi Dux Private Limited. As the former Vice President and Head of Integrated Electronic Supply Chain at Reliance Retail, Colonel Nair led the design and planning of SCM network for the company's ambitious growth plan, involving a 5-fold increase in storage space and a complex logistics system, covering B2B, B2C, B2BC, and GT business. So he has a proven track record of developing best business practices that improve efficiency, reduce operating costs, and increase performance. He is also a thought leader and speaker on various aspects of supply chain management leadership, and a motivational speaker and guest lecturer at the reputed management college. So he graduated from Osmania University, Hyderabad, and I have a strong connection with Telangana. In fact, born, brought up in Telangana. So a strong connection Telangana, and participated in extracurricular activities like college band, captain of college basketball team, inter-college debate elocution. So he earned a metals management certification from College of Metals Management, Jabalpur. Then he earned a project management certification from College of Defence Management, Secunderabad. Subsequently, he earned his MSc in Defence and Strategic Studies at the Defence Service Staff College, Wellington, Tamil Nadu. Then he earned his certification in System Analysis and Programming at the College of Military Communication and Technology, Dr. Ambedkar Nagar, Indore, MP. I think a very, very diverse kind of education, I can see that. In 2006, he completed his PGDBA from Symbiosis International University, Pune, specializing in human resource management. He also has certificate in retail management from Intercontinental Group of Department Stores, IGDS. His long experience of 21 years, of course, is with Indian Army, where he managed operational logistics, HRD, HRM, planning and coordination, training and development along the length and breadth of India, both in peace and hard field situations. He was actively involved in logistics management of rescue and relief operations in the aftermath of Bhuj in 2001 and Kashmir earthquake in 2005. He was also involved in operational logistics of Operation Parakram for mobilization of forces. So it was about 20,000 troops and over 4,000 vehicles and equipment. He was responsible for training and grooming of potential leaders of young officers of Indian Army and imparting specialist application of weapon and its tactical usage. After Indian Army, he joined Hypercity Retail India as head of supply chain. Then he joined Reliance Retail as vice president, head of distribution and logistics for integrated electronic supply chain. Now he founded his own venture, new venture, Oraculi Dux. So I think with this big introduction, I'm sure I may have still many points, many achievements of Colonel Nair. So Colonel Nair, anything that I missed, you can please add.
I'm actually flattered myself that I had so many qualifications. Thank you so much. I didn't know so much was available in public domain. Thank you very much, Ravi. You actually built me up. The expectation will go up. I'm suddenly started getting nervous.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Colonel Nair, for accepting our invitation to share your industry and practice oriented insights with our listeners. Thank you
Thank you
so
very much.
much.
Thank you, much, Ravi. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah. So first of all, I think it will be good to talk about your newly found organization. So would you say a few lines about it and what you do and in what services you offer?
So, Oraculi Dux came up with the desire of me and my two partners with the intent of doing something for the small and medium service providers. During our career, we've seen that there's a lot of talent available in the small and medium service providers. However, they come to a certain point and get stuck because probably they're not fully organized. They're structurally not in place. The financial management may be not as good. Uh, and with those kind of challenges which they fail to grow despite having the wherewithal within themselves in terms of talent. So we took it on ourselves to uh, kind of enlist these people into our, bring them under our wings and coach them through growth. So right from the process of representing them into an RFQ, preparing them to present themselves in the RFQ, to hand-holding for the initial stage of the operations, subsequently giving them tools to monitor their operations. We have got our own proprietary dashboard. We have got a partner WMS cloud-based. We got a partner TMS cloud-based. It's all in with an intent to reduce their overall costs and allow them to grow. Of late, we also saw that while the growth may be coming, they get stuck due to lack of funds. So in the last 2 or 3 months, we have started working on preparing them to face the investors and seek funding. We try and get the service provider and the givers, maybe the bankers, maybe the VCP, to come together. And we help the service providers to prepare their books, prepare their operational efficiency readiness, prepare their growth plans so that they present themselves. And we do manage to get some funds for these people. It's just about started. In the last 2 or 3 months, we have started doing this. Probably, I think that this is what is going to form one major vertical of our functioning going forward.
That is excellent. Excellent meaning excellent. I think that sort of an hand-holding service or help, whatever you call it, really needed for small to medium businesses. So I
Thank you very
think
much.
I think the title is on talent acquisition, and that remains sore point, I think of industry, whether small or big, whether supply chain or not supply chain. And I think in supply chain, we face severe shortage of good, talented people. So I just want to ask you, why is talent acquisition retention so critical in today's supply chain landscape?
So when we speak of talent acquisition first, we'll talk of retention after that.
Okay.
So firstly, the kind of talent that is required today is gone as minor transformation in the sense that we have moved on in a kind of a metamorphosis. It's not been a gradual evolution. It's been a kind of metamorphosis. We have moved into a digital world far too quickly. Without the COVID helped us to short circuit the period in between, and suddenly the requirement of a blue collared person or a white collar person got changed because he has to be digitally wise, and there is it's no longer labor who can work in the blue collared area, and is no longer a person with basic knowledge of digital technology who can work in the white collar area. To get this person, train him, and to keep him in your company is now become the challenge. The growth has been so much in the past few years. E-com is going to grow to some 2,200 billion. Quick commerce is growing at the rate of 14 to 15%. Sorry, e-commerce is going at the rate of 14 to 15%. The quick commerce is going at the rate of 77%. Something which is about 4 billion now is going to be around 9 billion in the next 4 years. So that's the kind of growth we are seeing. Now, it is from the population that this talent has to be, we have to feed the talent into these companies. So there is a demand. And when there's a demand, there's also, the challenge of high paid workers. So I think that is the challenge in the blue collared and the white collar area. Now, retention is another thing. Because there's such a high demand to hold a person into a company, may it be blue collar, may it be white collar, becomes difficult because there's always the other man waiting for a trained resource to walk into his area. So this is something which the supply chain managers have to keep grappling with.
Yeah, so we use a word poaching. So,
All right.
so in IT
But
industry, we used to use the word poaching. That,
we call it
I mean,
necessity.
yeah, of course it is necessary, and of course, but this happens in the industry. So I think it's a very good insight and tremendous amount of shortage. And I think not only in India, but globally, I see tremendous amount of shortage in supply chain management field. As you rightly said, between, starting from blue collar worker to white collar workers, we have shortages, and we have shortage of the skilled manpower. So there are a lot of, I think most of the people who have entered supply chain domain, they have entered and they've learned supply chain on the job. No formal or no structured training has taken place. Very little, I think, I would say very, very less amount of formal or structural training has taken place. So that is a concern, definitely. But asking about the COVID-19 pandemic, I think COVID-19 pandemic was different. It changed the whole world. It changed the way thinking. And I think, a lot of things which people took it casually, now they are more serious about it. So how this pandemic has influenced the supply chain sector in terms of leadership? What is really required now?
Just a small point before you go on to the COVID pandemic. So there are companies, especially the larger companies, are focusing a lot on skilling. Amazon has got its own institute.
Hmm.
Flipkart has got its own institute. There's a lot of certification programs which are run by Amazon.
Right.
So there is a lot of work which is being done internally because this is not yet available in the environment openly. There are institutes who are doing it. So companies are on. Reliance does a lot. We got a Geo Institute which does get this kind of stuff. So a lot of things which are happening on that. Yes. Now coming to the COVID, everybody and especially for the supply chain, and I feel it was a blessing in disguise for supply chain in the sense that suddenly a supply chain which was hovering in the background somewhere, always called the back end, suddenly became the front end. forefront because nothing would move without the supply chain.
Yeah. And I mean, if you go back
Absolutely.
and listen to PM's speech again during pandemic, and he continuously uttered supply chain management, supply chain management, supply chain management. I was just trying
Very
to
much.
count in one of the speech. I was trying to count. I think he spoke more than 60 or 64 times supply chain management. So I think it became very, very important.
Absolutely. Today you find newsreaders talking of supply chain. This was something which is not heard of. And everybody uses the term supply chain. And actually, if you look at how a business runs, it's the entire thing is a supply chain. So from that standpoint, it's good that there's such a level of awareness and is a fantastic wake-up call. And what happened in supply chain is all those projects which were slowly moving towards, implementation suddenly got the fillip and technology got a boost for supply chain side of business. Warehouses started getting automated. You started using electronic, you started using BI, you started using analytical tools. All those things started coming, and that I mean, as we are going on this subject, that also has had its impact on the talent. Uh, you know, the whole style of leadership also changed. Like we know in Reliance, we know in Mahindra Logistics, a lot of things got decentralized. The decision making got decentralized. We started actually accepting made system driven decision making, and delegation also started getting even better. And the moment you start delegating, you actually start developing lower level leadership. So all those things are absolutely fantastic that happened in during the COVID times. And another major thing is that labor welfare, which was a sore point for supply chain all the time, suddenly that also took importance because I think leaders, managers at every level started understanding the importance of having a good, healthy, uninfected labor in the warehouses at that stage. What a different kind of an empathy for the kind of conditions the labor work on. And I think that was also a very major gain which came out of the post pandemic supply chain transformation or infusion of technology.
So I think there are a lot of talk about AI, ML, I think so. What do you think about the role these technologies are playing in like AI and automation in transforming supply chain jobs?
So, firstly, where is this getting used really? So, AI, we use AI in uh, your all your automation systems. You have demand forecasting, inventory management. Those are the areas where primarily AI gets used a lot. And automation, of course, is in all activities from receiving to dispatch. Automation is depending on how much a company can spend and what's the volume that makes automation feasible. Automation is being used. Now, what happens is that the supply chain jobs now need to get slightly more specialized. Specialized in the sense that we no longer are reading bin cards and picking article and putting them physically into a pallet and bringing them here. People have to learn to interact with technology. May it be simple use of scanners, may it be uh, being being uh, act- being on the conveyor. Like I have one specific thing you notice is that conveyor is a continuous moving thing, and you can't really move out of the area because you'll miss out a consignment. While the conveyor is running, there has to be that discipline that you will follow the instructions of the system as it's being directed. So those are some things where the job profile has changed marginally, where people have to be uh, they have to have the wherewithal to interact. Either they come learned, or we got a person who knows about it, or you have to train your people to be able to interact with technology. In the white collar area, business analytics is very become very, very important. And AI helps a lot. Big data, AI, churning of data, churning of decision making through the data driven decisions. Those things all become very important. White collar needs to get used to it. And everything is getting recorded today. You are creating a history of your decision making each time you perform, which was not the case earlier on, which was a judgment based decision used to be taken. Nowadays, that's not the case. You have to take data driven decisions.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of, I think you have to be data aware. So that is what is coming. So you don't have to be data scientist, I would say, but you have to be at least data aware. So how do you see this transformation for blue collar employees, blue collar roles in supply chain?
So the blue collar roles can be classified into, I mean, if you take from the time the warehouse gate opens where there's a driver, there's a loader, and as it comes inside, you have a labeling methodology. Then it goes into the conveyor, goes into the put away areas. From the put away areas, you have to do a picking. There's a physical activity. From picking again, you put it down into the conveyor. It comes inside. There's a labeling. There's a packing. There's a once again labeling, and then there's a loading. So there is a mix of technical and non-technical work over here. So earlier, the bulk of the labor force was in the picking activity. Labor. When you say blue collar, let me make it blue and light blue. So the blue collar people are the people who are physically involved in physical activity of loading, the driver, the physical activity of picking. However, the rest of the role in between, which is completely dictated by the systems and automation processes and mechanizations, those areas require qualified people because your instruction do not come from a supervisor now. Your instructions comes from the system. The moment you have your handle in your hand, you get a instruction, you have to go and execute it. So uh, the question is that unless the labor evolves or you have a trained labor, you train labor and bring them, the blue collar is no more the blue as it used to be. It is kind of a light blue. There's a shade of white everywhere because I mean, it's no longer that uneducated man who just picks up a load and puts it into a vehicle. It's become different. On the other side, for the transporters and the drivers who are also would be considered in the blue collared region, today there is no any reputed or respectable um, transporter or retailer will not use a vehicle without having visibility of the consignment moving into it. The PODs have become electronic. The e-way bill, everything has become electronic. The driver has to be able to interpret all these digital information and use it in his journey. And because that is also going to become a decision-making tool for the managers who are sitting behind. And everything is instant now. You blink, it is 15 minutes. So in 15 minutes, you have to have a decision that your operation been concluded successfully.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of, I think, changes happening. And today at my home, there is one mechanic came from Siemens for my dryer. And he wrote all the part numbers that was required to be ordered. And I said, how did you get these part numbers? Out of your memory or what? He says, no, sir. We have an online system which I can access from mobile phone. And he showed me we can open the entire catalog. All parts are available on the catalog. All numbers are available. Price is available. I said, wow. So what used to be thick
In
manuals
fact,
now have become, data
yeah,
driven.
if we suddenly walk into the supply chain environment of today, we might
Yeah.
find it difficult to get a job.
Yeah. And things have transformed so much. But what about the leaders? I think we understand about the workers, but the leaders will have a different kind of a challenge driving all this transformation at all levels, whether blue collar, white collar, in the entire supply chain. So what challenges they are facing?
So primarily, they have to be balancing the immediate operational needs with the long-term transformation. So at any one time, all the technology does not get implemented in one go. There is certain amount of legacy systems available, and it's in stages that all the technology introduction happens. So to keep the operations going during this transformation, I think it's a very major role for the leader. How do you allocate how do you initially start with the training? And the training also has to be a graded training, as you can, if I may say, that you may have to have once a new system is getting introduced. a set of, uh, you know, blue-collar people are trained separately based on qualifications, and they're trained to be ready to operate the next level of machinery or the technology which is coming. So primarily, it's to foster a culture of continuous improvement in the warehouse, and you know, really keeping the employee there after he's trained is going to be one of the most difficult jobs. In my view, I feel that uh, while the transformation is happening, keeping the employees, releasing some of them are the leadership challenges, because there will be some releases also. Those are going to be the real challenges. How do you adjust the entire manpower of retaining and releasing is one of the challenges which leadership will face.
Yep, absolutely. Because I've been into several ERP implementations. So usually it's a very organization-wide transformation that happens. And apart from the external consultants who come and guide the implementation, there is an internal team, and the internal team gets a lot of training, a lot of insights on the system and so on. And these are the people who leave the organization because they are in high demand. At the
That's
same
right.
time, the entire organization initially had a lot of resistance to change. So by the time the technology is really absorbed and becomes part of their habit and the blood, it takes some time. It's not, so I think there is a lot of challenge for the leadership, for them to accept this change. So that challenge also is there.
It is a fact that you see, especially when it comes to blue collar, they are the first to reject technology. Number one, fear of the job being in risk. Number two, lack of understanding. As a leader, you have to have this ability to be able to take them to the flow, make them understand how it's going to make their job easier and how it's going to make the overall operations better. Uh, I mean, since you've also seen implementation, you'll find that fault finding is the first thing everybody does. So he says, "इसको क्यों कर रहे हैं? I can do it better without this stuff, this thing. इससे पहले अच्छा होता था." These are the kind of things you see.
That's a normal statement. पहले अच्छा था.
ठीक है, ये अभी how has this not happened? Say नया system ठीक नहीं है.
नया system ठीक नहीं है.
So these are the common. This is particularly challenges with the blue collar staff, and this change management has to be done. And this leaders, I think the biggest responsibility of the leader is this, because it's a well thought of ERP implementation which happens. I'm sure a lot of brains usually gets into all this implementation. It is not that suddenly somebody's woken up and put it there. Now to get it rolled out is the job of the leaders at every level. So I think what you're talking of, one of the challenges that getting the change management done is another major role that a leadership has to actually
major.
go through.
And I think change management is more difficult for white collar than the blue collar. And I have seen one more thing in blue collar. We wanted to, I mean, I'm talking about my experience of 1987, 88 time frame, when we were implementing ERP into one of the large automotive companies in India. And actually, this workers, the union took the opportunity, because we were saying that you have to now enter the data into computer and so on. They took the opportunity to negotiate something else. Saab isko ye kar do, usko wo kar do, now all that,
Yes.
So it was a different situation. It is not related to ERP implementation, but they took this opportunity to negotiate something else. That was quite interesting. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I actually muted. So how do these companies attract this blue collar talent, especially in remote areas? So nowadays, a lot of, I think, warehouses and distribution centers are being put in a lot of remote areas. So I think, how do you attract them?
We'll qualify that question by how do you attract the right talent?
Yeah, right talent. Yeah,
say that
right talent. Of course, you will have, field workers available to you, Kheti wala kisan.
Yes.
But that is not the talent that we are looking for.
So what is happening is that firstly, I think with the proliferation of mobile, And most of the whole intent of an IT is how simple they can make it for the end user. And especially when it comes to the warehouse and transport operations, uh, there's one thing which is being done wonderfully by the IT guys, that the ultimate end of the solution is very user friendly. So today, if you ask me, any person who can automate, who can actually work a Android phone properly, he can more or less function inside the warehouse because everything, most of the activity is scanner based. So that's number one. Uh, Number two is every person has to have the ability to read. All these instructions are in English. We do have speech directions also in picking operations and all this kind of stuff, but yet he has to be able to read. Now, these are two very basic requirements. So, a person who can read English clearly must be minimum 10th or 12th pass. Today, to get a 12th pass person inside the warehouse is not difficult. You have got, even in the remote areas, we got people. In fact, I find remote areas have got a lot of ambitious talent who really want to do, and they're looking to work under brands. They're working for Reliance or something. It improves their own stature in the place where they are. Then we got the Skill Development Council of India, which is doing a great job. We got Skill Development Council does a lot of logistic training. I had been part of the skill development training syllabus vetting. If these guys, if the skill development training centers can even implement 50% of it, we will have wonderful set of people coming into the supply chain. The syllabus is beautiful. We were, I think, 6 or 7 heads of supply chain who were asked to review the syllabus. Uh, the syllabus is great. Only we thought that we don't know if everybody can be able to really absorb the entire stuff. But every activity in the warehouse is being taught. Every activity of transportation was being taught. Every activity of input processing was being taught. So the Skill Development Center, by syllabus on paper, they've got great stuff, and they are working in areas of Jharkhand, Odisha, Haryana. Um, 𝗦𝗵cie has done one such training, and they are getting people from remote areas to work for them. They are having their own skill and talent development center. Flipkart has worked with National Skill Development Center and developed fair amount of done talent acquisition through them. In Reliance, we also have worked through National Skill Development Council, have taken people from Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh uh, for us, and they're quite good. They are actually very ready. So, if these organizations continue to do this job, uh, these organizations themselves face some issues because when they start the skill development, curriculum, there are 400 people. By the time they finish, there are 100. So there's a lot of people who desert from this training, maybe because they don't want to work hard, they don't find the academic difficult. But whatever this 100 come to us, and at least 50 or 60 that finally are retained with us, they are very good. So, and like I told you, there is kind of a drive in these guys to do well. And we find that they are much more committed workers. They know their job, and they quickly, their learning curve within the warehouse for the specific processes of the respective companies is very quick. It saves a lot of time for us. So these initiatives should continue. I had done, along with Kotak Mahindra Bank at Bhiwandi, we trained about 60, 70 people. Uh, Again, such initiatives, uh, you know, corporate social movements, CSC actions, this will all help to develop the skill in these remote areas.
Great. I think so that actually is quite interesting about people, really wanting to uh, do something, work hard in remote areas, and this problem of retention will always be there, I guess. I mean, you start training 400 and people start dropping out. And this happened with not only with I think blue collar, but happens with white collar also. There are institutes, there are organizations which have very good training facility, but at the end of the training, many people resign and join somewhere else, and so that problem we can. So I think I'll also talk about leadership qualities.
Mhm.
So what are the leadership qualities essential to drive innovation and sustainability? Sustainability has become a very important topic in supply chain today. So what quality is required?
So, see, the basic traits of a leader, having the knowledge, having the ability to train, having a collaborative approach, being empathetic. I think one major quality which I feel a leader should have is empathy, because specifically for the workers who are blue collared, uh, to be able to empathize the conditions that people work on. Okay, it's very important for really to build them up. I know I will take an example from the army also, all said and done nation and things like that, but it's the leader who drives uh, the people. Today, it's follow the leader. If you can motivate, inspire a leader, and he will follow. So when you talk of innovation, uh, I will only innovate if I'm motivated. I will only innovate if I bring something up to my leader saying that I have made this and I appreciate, and I help him. I will only innovate when I'm halfway through and my leader comes and helps me to take it forward. I will only innovate appreciate it. I will only innovate when I'm motivated. So there are many things for as far as innovation is concerned. As far as sustainability is concerned, I think we are tweaked to be sustained. Uh, but then this is sustainability is a more of a thing which is top driven. These are policies, and when it comes to the leaders, it's implementation of these policies. Simple things like using a battery operated pallet truck inside your warehouse, using CNG vehicles, you know reusing of your carton boxes. So there are very simple low level things which happen in a warehouse, and those will contribute to the overall sustainability. Pointless talking of carbon footprints and those kind of things, which is a fallout rather than a actually implementable thing inside a warehouse. In the warehouse, reducing waste, recycling of paper, using of recycled paper within the warehouse, using of recycled cartons, reusing of cartons. Those chota sustainability efforts which we should be doing. Sunlights in the warehouse to minimize utilization of electricity. Solar solar power for some sections, to give solar power to the entire warehouse is very difficult. Some sections of the solar power can certainly work in solar power. The charging of the batteries can happen in solar power. So these are the sustainability measures that can take place inside a warehouse.
Yep, great. So I think coming back to the talent, what strategies should companies adopt to develop and retain top supply chain talent? So sometimes, we hire people, then we find out the supply chain talent is extremely good. How do we retain them?
I've got my own philosophy on this. So my own philosophy says that besides the salary and things like that, which is also an important factor, but if a person knows his job, he will stay there. He'll enjoy doing his job, so he'll stay there. If the work environment is good, it's not vicious, it is not, depressing, it is not dominating, it is not bullying. He's got good colleagues, he'll stay there. If he's got a good leader, he'll stay there. It is seldom that people jump around jobs for salary alone. I don't say salary is not important. Salary is important. People will jump for salary also, but not for just salary. If he likes the boss, he will stay there. If he finds that he's got good simple thing in a warehouse. In a warehouse, if you got good toilet facilities, you got water, the people talk to you properly. The warehouse manager is a good guy. He looks after you. Uh, he will stay there. We have done measures like, besides those party celebrations and festival celebrations, we conducted a camp for the women over there, got them checked for breast cancer. We organized complete immunization at our warehouse for the warehouse staff and their families. So these guys these are things which hold. Now we have got a small separate fund which we keep separately in the warehouse for any urgent activity. If somebody suffers an accident, he does not have to wait for the 𝗧𝗍 sanction. That money, these are poor guys. So even if it is a white collar job, we may not require cash and things like that. But these are some measures that we do. If you have empathy towards the white collar fellow or the blue collar fellow, he'll remain there. So uh, to retain, uh, train him, show him his career path, and give him means to achieve those places. That's another way which you follow, which is the non-empathetic method, which is his growth, which is also important. He will remain there only when he sees that he has got a career path. If he sees that there's a job coming and he may achieve the same job in 2 years over here, and the other things work out, the work environment, his overall company atmosphere, he will stay there. He likes his leader, he'll stay there. So I think that's the way we should look at the retention part, because normally it's done with salary competition, which I don't think is the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about good boss. So when you go to the industry, people usually complain about bosses, and very few times I think and the employees are happy with their bosses. I mean, that's I think so. That's a situation everywhere. So let me actually talk about digital transformation that you talked about.
Hmm?
How companies can prepare both these blue collar workers and white collar employees for the digital transformation in supply chain. So this is, I think, constant, never ending. I think there's going to be more and more transformation. How to go about preparing them for?
I think this transformation, like I said, that is something which is in organizational and leadership driven stuff. So I will go for it's for the white collar to be, trained more in the digital transformation than the blue collar. So as far as the white collar people are concerned, the company has always got a vision. They know, and personal responsibility, the white collar guy as an individual is that it's his business to be abreast with what is the latest technology. When it comes to the team, there's always one or two people who are smart in digital interactions. So peer-to-peer training, which can be organized within the organization. And let me tell you, we do this. We have been doing this in my team. So there are some guys who are coming fresh from your IIMs, and the fresh guys, they are actually wizards. They come out with, I can tell for myself, they come out with some cloud-based software which you've not even heard of, which makes jobs easy. So we have this Friday morning sessions. We come half an hour early. Inside the meeting room, we about 30, 40 of us. This guy demonstrates something, and then people actually start using such tools which are available free in the web. Now, as an individual, one needs to be aware what is AI coming into, what is BI doing, what is big data doing, what are the functions of how can blockchain be used. It is for him to keep himself aware. There can't be any formal training for this. You can have workshops, you can have seminars which talk of this thing, but I think it's a very individual responsibility that you keep abreast with technology. Why should you be abreast with technology? Is that you have got a subordinate line in the light blue to blue spectrum, where they do not have access to such information. When you go into a warehouse as a leader, even if the boys don't understand a fig, you're supposed to talk about these things. You're supposed to say, these are the new things that are happening. It actually mentally prepares them. Let me tell you, youngsters are excited about technology. May it be a blue collar fellow, may it be a bilkul anpada, but you give him a good phone, he will start fiddling with it. These youngsters enjoy technology, and the whole country is less than 29 years old. All our people who are working so what is happening is that they love technology, like they love speed, they like new cars, they're very, very aspirational. So it is not very difficult to implement digital transformation, but mental preparation, people who got access should be able to share peer to peer, peer downwards. Everything has to happen. Today's world, digital transformation, it's a challenge, but not, in specific terms, it's challenge, not otherwise. It's We can easily surmount this mountain.
Absolutely, absolutely. So people are eager to learn. So I think in terms of acquisition now, what they can do to align the talent acquisition with evolving needs, what can companies do?
In terms of talent acquisition, so there are primarily two or three kinds of acquisitions which are there. One is a parallel acquisition where the necessity forces you to pick up somebody from the market. Number two is the basic acquisition. Now, I'm talking of white collar at the moment. So the basic acquisition happens by we going into colleges. We got a specific system, a specific process. The HR team looks for people with genuine interest, not people who are looking for job. And these people are they are trained for 3 months before they put into work. So, so fresh from the college also there are two or three types of entries. There are graduate entries, there are graduate engineer entries, and then there are this top-notch MBA colleges entries, the MBA entries, management trainee entries. So these are 4 or 5 types of entries into the white collar area. When it comes to blue collar, again there are two kinds of one is a parallel entry which we pick up a trained person from the market, or we pick up from the colleges again, from the lower level colleges. We pick up people, train them for 4 weeks, 2 weeks of training, 2 weeks of on the job training before they're inducted into the work. That's what we do now.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think I read your profile on the LinkedIn, and you have gone through a very interesting career journey. So I think I would like, I mean, this is a question I ask everyone. How did you land up into supply chain management field? I think
All right.
most of
It's
us, I think it happens, it just happens. So
accidental.
how did you,
Accidental supply
yeah,
chain head.
accidental, yeah.
Mine
How did you
is
land up?
very interesting. I was recruited by Shopper Stop in HR. And that time, Hypercity company was being thought of. It was every design had been made, and they were picking up people for Hypercity. So the CEO then was Andrew Livermore. After I was recruited in the HR, so I had this interaction with Andrew Livermore. Andrew Livermore was a great guy, fantastic leader. So we got on to chatting, and he asked me, and I spoke to him about what happened in Gujarat aftermath. There were, there were a lot of trucks, there were a lot of interested parties wanting to send to interested areas the consignment. So Army took over. So we started rallying them into a transit camp. We had a place where we got all the transport into a hub, redirected the stuff as it was required in each of the areas. So it didn't happen that all the cloth reached in one place, all the blanket reached in one place, all the grain. That's quite a large exercise that we did. As luck would have it, after this, I got posted to Srinagar, and immediately when this thing happened, there was an earthquake, and they said, "Oh, this guy got experience, go Daldo." So again, got into this business. While I spoke to him about all this, and in I was in counter-terrorist operations. We used to do a lot of analytics, route analysis, terrain analysis, this, that. So after some time, he says, "Currently, you're perfect for supply chain management." I'm talking about 2006. So I told him, "Sir, I got no clue of what supply chain management is." He says, "Colonel, believe me, you'll do well." So I told him, "Okay, I'll take the leap of faith, but in 3 months, if I find myself uncomfortable, put me back into HR." And there's been no looking back. That is how I am in supply chain. But I have to tell you that supply chain has got to do a lot with HR too. I think a good HR manager can also make a good supply chain manager in those terms, because I think looking after the boys, and maybe it comes with my army background also, being concerned about your team is a very important factor to get the warehouse running when it comes to the lower end of the function. You have to make sure that the people are well paid, well looked after. Because I know in 2006, when all these compliance were, of course, they were still there, but yet the adherence was low. To get things the way they should be, can make a huge difference in getting a motivated team to work under you.
Thank you so much. That was very, very interesting. In fact, I have a lot of questions in my mind that I should ask you, but there are good interest. People want to ask you a lot of questions. So I think I'll take that as a priority.
Yes,
So
sir.
I see somebody with name you. I don't know what actually his name is showing up only you. So his question was, what are the key skill certification supply chain leader should build? So are there any certifications available for supply
Leader.
chain leaders? Yeah.
So, depending on what kind of a leader you are, so there, see, a, uh, you can't. There are two, three kinds of leaders. When they say, no, you're a born leader, you are a person who's got leadership thrust upon him, and you're a leader who is a trained leader. A lot of us are trained leaders. A Raja is a born leader. A trained leader is like you and me or somebody, and somebody who just reluctant, you put a crown on his head, and that becomes leadership thrust upon him. So, when you talk of us being trained leaders, so as you go along the line, there are a lot of things which you pick up. Now, I can't talk of a certification course for a leader, but uh, the what I would advise is that you have to find a guru. You have to find one or two or three gurus. Like I have got three gurus. Uh, I ape them, I copy them, and sometime I start becoming a mold of the three of them together, and that becomes my leadership style. So, leadership qualities is what you got to imbibe if you don't have them. Patience, something which we all lack, is something which a leader should have. There can't be a certification course on patience, empathy. You can learn about this. There are a lot of courses which will teach you about leadership qualities and how to imbibe them. I think that is the way we should look at leadership training rather than certifications for leadership. I hope I've been able to answer the question. Otherwise, there are various certification courses which Ravi will tell you. I've seen a huge list of certified courses which he has done. All right. So knowledge is a very, very important point of a leader. If you have knowledge to give, there'll be people to follow. So Ravi, I think you should talk of the certified supply chain professional courses. There are four of them. You can talk more about this. I think the question will be better answered.
Yeah, I think we have 4 certifications from ASCM. The oldest one is CPIM, Certified in Planning and Inventory Management. That was introduced sometime in 1973. And then subsequently, there was another certification that was introduced called Certified Supply Chain Professional. That was in about 2006. And then I think one more certification was introduced called Certified in Logistics, Transportation and Distribution, CLTD. That was about 2014. And now recently, I think only last year, they introduced one more certification for transformation. So Certified in Transformation of Supply Chain, so CTSC. So we have this 4 from ASCM. Apart from that, we have our own program also. But as you rightly said, these are only impart knowledge. Okay. But leadership skills, okay, it's little, I think, different, more of a personal trait and soft skills and things like that. So I think that's a little different. So I think for that, we don't have a training there. We have for supply chain knowledge, but leadership is a little different.
Yeah, Ravi, there's a lot about, we haven't spoken about mentoring. Good companies have got mentors. And
Yeah.
mentoring and coaching is another technique.
Yeah.
Both are different. So mentoring and coaching is another technique which need not be within the company. You can choose your mentor, you can choose your coach who will actually be able to not solve, um, give you solutions with that you need to really start implementing so that you can improve yourself as a leader. So another way of improving leadership skills is by good coaching and mentoring.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. So Prashant has a question. Any recommendations of free courses to avail niche skills in supply chain management?
Prashant, I'm sorry. I think again I will go back to Ravi to answer this free courses. See, I don't know courses that you're looking for. Free courses, it's too wide a field. Now, let me
Yeah.
tell you, if I came into the field, if Ravi has already told you, I've just done about 19 years in this field, but somehow I have managed to reach the head of supply chain level of the largest retail company. How? Is because I read. I read one hell of a lot. And that is one thing that has kept me above everybody. Whenever the company grew, there was nobody who came above me. There's somebody who came below me. That is because I struggled, worked hard in a new field, which was just about evolving in 2006 to know more than what the other man knew. So, courses wise, I think being abreast with what is happening around the world, being able to uh, assess what is the requirement that of tomorrow or long-term requirement will keep you abreast. Now, I'm not sure of free courses uh, because what you do in your MBA is is what it builds up fundamentals. Now, after these fundamentals, it's for you to build on yourself. And if you pay for anas and get education, I don't think it's a problem. We don't know what the free courses really offer. There's always something tied up along with this. Sometimes the knowledge is also off, is not complete. So
Yeah,
again,
actually.
Ravi, I fall back on you. What can you do?
So actually, there is nothing called free lunches, in this world. But there are free courses available, from lot of academic organizations and Coursera kind of, websites that you can do for free, but they will take money if you want to get a certificate. So these courses come without certificate, so you can read on. But let me actually also caution you, there is a difference between academic knowledge and practice-oriented knowledge. Most of the certifications are academic knowledge. And what you really need to grow in your career is practice-oriented. So, I mean, as Colonel rightly said that a lot of reading is required, a lot of stuff is there on the internet. You may want to subscribe to free magazine somewhere, which will tell you what is happening in the industry. So, in that kind of situation will really help you. Will really help you. So, I think there is a question for your army background. Since you are from army, can you suggest this in context of an army officer planning for PMR and looking for transition to corporate with about 2 years available for transition? I think that you will be able to
It's
guide, I think, I'm sure.
interesting.
Yeah.
So again, see, you should understand that despite whatever your qualification is, your biggest qualification when you enter the corporate field is uh, your fact that you are a certified, known, qualified leader. Now, how you use these skills and how you get yourself in front of the interviewing table is what is going to be uh, the real test. Now, before you retire, all the army officers are given the option of doing one of those orientation courses in ISBs and all the top IMMs. That actually is kind of an orientation for you to enter the corporate world. Uh, in my view, sometimes I find, see, today, unlike the time when I retired, uh, today the army officers are paid very, very well, and which was not the case in our time. So today, if somebody enters into a 1.5 or 2 lakh salary, those days it used to be a big salary in a month. But that's not the case now because an army officer earns more than 2.5 lakhs in a month, and all after everything paid. Okay, so from that standpoint, I think that one thing you should be prepared for is to work hard and to climb your way up. Don't expect on the platter. You'll be lucky if you get it. Prepare yourself today. You got 2 years. Get yourself qualified now. Don't wait for the 2 years. I've had सी कि भाई अभी तो जाने वाला हूँ कॉर्पोरेट में बहुत रगड़ा लगेगा so let me have a good time now. No, this is the time to prepare. This is the time you actually start getting your qualifications, do certification courses, keep that up your kitty, then go and do your orientation course, and that is how you'll be able to enter. There is no guarantee that you'll immediately get a job or get a high paying job. But let me tell you, for an army officer, the learning curve is very steep. So is the salary curve. Once you made an entry, the learning curve and the salary curve will take you. You don't have to worry. And I'm always there. I'm sure you can contact me anytime, either through LinkedIn or Facebook or Insta or anywhere. Get in touch with me. I will help you. Any army officer, anytime, anywhere, I will help.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So there is one more question is there about ERP implementation. So what should consultants do when they are implementing ERP while training blue collar employees? There is always a resistance to change, okay, and they don't want to change because of new technology. But they get pushed from the top to start using new technology, which actually makes them more disappointed. So what should a consultant who is part of the ERP implementation team should do?
More than the consultant, I think is the leader's role over here. Uh, I will tell you how we introduce new things in the like. I think in 2009 we introduced scanners inside the warehouse. We use scanners. So, there was huge amount of resistance, and we found that scanners were left and people were going and doing manual picking. So we realized that it's a mistake of implementation which we did. So next time when we wanted to do, we took suggestions from these people. We said, अगर scanner operate करना है तो क्या करना है? ये होना चाहिए, automatic next ये आना चाहिए. They gave a lot of things. Each almost 80% was already existing. So what we did, we took the scanner back. I'm sorry, we may be slightly tricky in this. We took the scanner back, kept it out for 10, 15 days, brought it back and we said, तुमने ये session दिया था, ये काम कर रहा है, 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 ये काम कर रहा है. So that is how, see, they felt involved. They felt that their suggestions have been implemented. And that is how we were able to implement most of our IT solutions. And let me tell you, these guys have got, the people down below have got great suggestions and practical ones, which probably we don't know of when we are sitting and designing the ERP systems. So I use that as a technique. You take suggestions from them, demonstrate to them that their suggestions have been put in place, and this is how it works. You'll find the acceptance is very good.
Great, thank you. I hope Vinay, who asked this question, has got his answer. So I think this is the last question from Shivendu. So Shivendu has a question. Can you please highlight on advantages and disadvantages of working in digital transformation versus the core supply chain? So what is the comparison between these two roles? Thanks in advance.
Right. Now I have to say thanks because that's a trick question kind of a thing. So let me tell you, there is both are kind of one complements the other. So when you say digital transformation, it's for the function of the core supply chain. Unless you know the core supply chain, you can't really work on digital and digital transformation. So if you ask me, it depends now where your interest. Now, if I'm implementing digital transformation and I see the impact of in core supply chain, it will give me huge amount of satisfaction. So I really don't know how to put it across to you, advantage or disadvantage. Uh, Whatever you do is going to work to the advantage of the core supply chain. So if you want to be the person who is making difference in the overall functioning and productivity of supply chain, I think digital transformation is the place. They're going to enjoy implementing new technology. I think core supply chain is a nice place.
Absolutely. And see, I can share my experience. I mean, this terminology like digital transformation, all that has come new. But, when I joined the industry in 82 also, I mean, I was good in technology, programming and all that, everything. But our company had 14 lines of business. Nowadays, they call it domain experience. So they said, you have to get trained on domain first. Otherwise, you will not know what customer is talking, how to implement technology. You will not know that. So I think I was fresher from engineering college. I did not know about manufacturing and distribution. And they had put me into manufacturing and distribution line of business domain. So I think I learned it slowly. I realized that unless you have the knowledge of the domain, okay, I mean, being a digital transformation person is not going to take you too far. You have to understand what the business is all about. Whether it is supply chain, whether it is banking, whether it is airlines, whether it is insurance, whatever business, where you want to implement technology, you have to understand the business first. So I think that I would say domain knowledge is actually fundamental. Fundamental. So I think thank you so much, Colonel. We have no more questions. If somebody wants to ask a question, you can unmute and ask a question to him. From the chat box, our questions are over.
I would like to thank on this occasion to both Vijay and Ravindra. It was very insightful. I've been the fan of this supply chain talk. So really thanks for arranging and giving insightful guidance to the community and fraternity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
your
𝗧𝗹𝗸.
appreciation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think so I would like to thank everyone for joining this session. Rashmi, would you like to say anything before we close? I think we're a little overshot. That's okay.
Yes, in fact, it was a very insightful session learning about talent and leadership roles, which is very important and a crucial part of supply chain now. I really thank Colonel Nair for sharing his insights and making us aware of the leadership and transformation. So I think since we are actually over the time now, I think we can wind up. And very good evening to each one of you, and thank you for taking out time.
Thank you very much, 𝗧𝗹𝗪. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Ravi.
very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank
I
you
really
very much. Jai
enjoyed it.
Hind. Jai
Thank
Hind.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Jai
Bye
Hind.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Jai Hind.